Kelly Khumalo's telephone logs depict a disturbing scenario. 8 communications placed to a suspected assassin mere hours before Senzo was fatally shot within his partner's mother's residence. The disclosure has rekindled one of South Africa's most contentious unresolved homicide investigations, prompting troubling inquiries about concealed intentions, withheld proof, and why after a decade of controversy, nobody genuinely responsible has confronted accountability. Before examining the intricate threads of questionable detentions, contradictory witness accounts, firearms examination, and courtroom disorder, numerous South Africans persist in questioning whether Kelly will ever be apprehended or whether this investigation has shifted into space too governmentally delicate for legal authorities to manage. October 26, 2014 commenced like any typical day in Vosloorus, a settlement near Johannesburg. Senzo Meyiwa, the captain of South Africa's national football squad and its star goalkeeper for the Orlando Pirates, visited his partner, Kelly, at her mother's dwelling. Present were 7 individuals: Kelly, her sibling Zandile, their mother Ntombai, Senzo's close companions Mvakazisi Twala and Tumelo Madlola, Zandile's partner Longwe Twala, and Kelly's young child. It was a routine Sunday evening until approximately 8 p.m. when the tranquility was shattered by one gunshot. Within moments, one of Africa's most gifted athletes lay perishing from a lethal injury to the torso. What ought to have been a direct inquiry instantly began to disintegrate into one of the nation's most disputed unsolved investigations, exposing assertions of concealment operations, governmental meddling, and influential figures manipulating circumstances from behind the curtain. The original narrative supplied to investigators depicted the shooting as a theft attempt gone awry. 2 armed intruders supposedly rushed in, requested possessions, and escaped after a confrontation in which Senzo was shot while attempting to defend everyone present. But the flaws in this account emerged almost instantly. Authorities discovered no indication of forced access. Residents heard the gunshot yet observed no escaping intruders. The alleged killing weapon was nowhere to be located. Even more questionable were the drastically conflicting reports from the 7 witnesses. Some stated 2 intruders arrived. Others maintained there were 3. Characterizations of the shooter's stature, physique, and even his attire never corresponded. And despite this being classified a theft, nothing, absolutely nothing was taken. The inconsistency established the foundation for years of doubt. Then arrived the remarkable development in October 2020, 6 years afterward, when authorities detained 5 men: Musical Kulola Sibiya, Bongani Sandiso Ndanzi, Mthobisai Prince Mcube, Mthakazisini Mafiza, and Sifiso Ntuli. None of them had been in the dwelling that evening, and legal authorities now contended Senzo wasn't eliminated during a theft but was the subject of a calculated execution. The 5 defendants insisted they were blameless, with some claiming they had been brutalized into admitting guilt. The prosecution contended they were contracted assassins hired to eliminate him. The investigation only became more peculiar when telephone logs were presented that allegedly demonstrated Kelly's phone contacted one of the suspected assassins 8 times on the day Senzo was eliminated. These were not some unclear associations many months earlier. These were explicit communications mere hours before the shooting. The defense seized upon this, asserting this established Kelly had advance awareness of the assault or coordinated it. Despite the apparent gravity of this electronic proof, legal authorities have conversely demonstrated notable hesitation in prosecuting her, effectively generating conjecture of governmental associations or apprehensions that prosecuting a celebrity might prove too volatile for the legal apparatus to manage. Enter another incendiary development: former police officer Warrant Officer Bongani Jininda, whom the prosecution stated functioned as a coordinator for the suspected killers. Court disclosures have indicated that he possesses extensive awareness of the preparation, compensation, and who participated in the assassination, and if he elects to assist with investigators, his declaration will expose the investigation entirely. Those disclosed records calculated the arrangement to eliminate Senzo to be approximately 100,000 rand, an astonishingly modest sum for such a prominent subject. And this figure intensified the suspicion of individual motivations rather than any extremely sophisticated professional assassination. Ballistics contributed another dimension of complexity. In 2015, a firearm discovered during an unconnected inquiry was subjected to examination, and specialists verified that the projectile fragments extracted from Senzo's body correspond with test discharges from that identical weapon. The firearm was traced to one of the suspected assassins, Mcube, whose telephone transmission was supposedly traced to the Vosloorus vicinity that evening. Legal authorities maintain that ballistics and cellular tower information present an uninterrupted sequence connecting the defendants to the homicide. But defense lawyers state the firearm had transferred through multiple possessors before retrieval and that cellular tower documentation only demonstrates general nearness, not precise position. They also challenge why authorities required an entire year to associate the firearm to the investigation, a postponement that indicates proof manipulation. The most disputed component in the narrative originates from what has been referenced as Docket 375, an alternative police document supposedly concealed early in the inquiry. According to advocate Malisila Tefo, the document indicated toward an entirely distinct version of the shooting, proposing Senzo might have been eliminated during a confrontation involving someone within the dwelling. This account supposedly implicated Longwe Twala, who according to some assertions escaped the location instantly after the shot was discharged. Though Longwe and his relatives have rejected every claim, the reality that this alternative docket reportedly existed and was suppressed nourished suspicions that influential individuals were being shielded. The attendance of Longwe that evening had remained one of the most intensely contested components of the mystery. Reports that he departed the nation shortly after the homicide, combined with his father Chico's enormous power in the entertainment industry, ignited theories that attempts were made to protect him from examination. Witness declarations over the years has only intensified the enigma, with contradictory versions of whether Longwe remained at the dwelling or fled in distress. The post-mortem examination on Senzo contributed additional bewilderment to the circumstances. While verifying that he had perished from a solitary fatal torso injury, specialists analyzing the record noted absences and discrepancies. At dispute was the projectile path, distance of discharge, and posture or motion of Senzo during the confrontation. Certain forensic pathologists stated the injury suggested that he was shot from near distance, an assertion that disputes portions of the theft account. Absent or incomplete crime location images further compromised the inquiry. Governmental meddling has long been suspected. Essential investigators were supposedly withdrawn from the investigation at vital periods. Proof was displaced and witnesses modified narratives. Some previous officers characterized coercion to circumvent implicating prominent personalities. The detention in the midst of the proceedings of advocate Tefo, who asserted he was targeted over revealing police wrongdoing, only intensified the conviction that influential entities were functioning behind the curtain. Throughout the upheaval, Senzo's widow Mandisa has remained a reserved but formidable presence, requesting accountability despite the public awareness of her spouse's infidelity. Her fortitude, alongside the devastating persistence of Senzo's mother, embodies the genuine human expense behind the legal turmoil. Both women have continuously pressed authorities to hold everyone implicated responsible, irrespective of their celebrity position. Then, as the declarations advanced, some fresh witnesses actually disputed what had been maintained previously, reinforcing the contention of the defense that the prosecution's account is constructed on unstable foundation. Residents, acquaintances, even relatives all provided contradictory schedules and characterizations. Some witnesses who had been quiet for years abruptly presented specifics that further obscured the account. The investigation has never obtained the type of continuous attention internationally that comparable investigations might have produced elsewhere. Global fascination in football entities scarcely provided any sustained consideration to Senzo's investigation, even as commemorations flooded in across Africa upon his demise. It is this absence of international coercion that may have permitted years of stasis and mishandling. Financial inquiries suggested money transferred possession in methods to validate the assassination for compensation theory. Though no transparent payment sequence has been made accessible, the defense lawyers persisted to contend that the prosecution was displaying selective proof while retaining data that could exonerate their clients. What transpires subsequently is still anyone's prediction. The proceedings can extend well into 2026, and with no witness explicitly indicating to Kelly or anyone within the dwelling ordering the assassination, this may result in no guilty verdicts. Legal authorities will pursue negotiated settlements to expose the investigation. But if the defendants depart free, the homicide of Senzo might never be resolved. A decade afterward, the nation still anticipates resolution. Whether Kelly Khumalo ever appears in the defendant's position is one of the most contested inquiries in South Africa. This investigation will persist, troubling a nation desperate for accountability, restoration, and responsibility until the reality emerges.